Again, I'm still here on the project, building capacity around my mouth, but I got something to back it up. What do you think? Let's discuss it. This is Samson Tone, LIBERIA Public Radio. It's Friday, so why not? But I want to bring your attention to a show that I'm going to be having tonight. It's going to be very interesting. I'm encouraging all of you, those of you that are listening to this video, to tune in tonight, because perhaps this might be some of the reason why we have all of the mess that is going on in our own country, because you have to listen to these things. These things, the trouble we've been having in Liberia didn't start overnight. These are things that's been happening from time to time. There are those who came before us, past generation, failed to recognize these things, and will continue to repeat them, and because we ourselves have not yet able to recognize and see if these things can be rectified, so that this country, beautiful country of ours, can be built just by our hands as Liberian. It doesn't matter who you are at this point. Concord country, it doesn't even exist anymore. We're all one another. We're all one country, one people. But if we do not understand why these things are happening to us, we're most likely not going to be able to find solution. So I ask you tonight to join me.
Yet, how does one begin to help people who swim on their own flooded streets to voting booths to vote incompetent criminals back into office?
Yes, that is a big question we all have to answer. How do you help people who will go to the voting booth swimming in their own flooded streets just to vote people in offices who are incompetent? And those incompetent people that are being voted in offices will also appoint people who are also incompetent. So this is like a big deal. How do we help our brothers and sisters to make sure that their voting rights are utilized effectively? They have the voting cards. They must be told how important their voting cards are to all of us. And so I'm saying, those of us that have this platform, this is not time for hate. You don't come into this because you hate. You must do all you can to educate the voters themselves, how important their voting cards are. Because of their vote, our leaders will be able to do what is right for our people. Join me this evening as I try to explore this particular question and many more that will be coming. Join me this evening at 8 Eastern Time, 5 Pacific, where we will take on this question and be able to see how much we can go. With your help, we, the Liberian people, will be able to educate our brothers and sisters that have the right to vote whoever they want, but they must do so with responsibility. This is Samson told, Liberian Public Radio. Thank you very much.
C'est au-dessus ma encore une fidèle qui l'Amérique a pas bloqué yo quand il va Sylvie il a quoi qui j'ai vu presse l'Amérique a pas bloqué tamo bien de moi egbe o nde ensemble on va battre au moi nenwo mon temps dit ta mu mu ça bat des frères moi dit toi là bloqué yo
doing anything that people getting amended. And with me from 2005 to date, we're all doing anything. I've done something. Trust me. I'll be re-elected. You understand? So you don't need to fight. You don't need to destroy your country. You don't need to even condemn your country. You have to be inspired peacefully and then convince the people, persuade people. Politics is about persuasion. And it's about what you have done for your people. I have done so much that I don't need pay for. You know why I don't need pay for? Because Liberians love me and they promoted me when I was on a soccer page. You understand? And they were proud to be Liberian when I was on the soccer page. And I've done my best for my country. I'm a former peace ambassador. It doesn't matter what people say. I'm on record.
Yao, abela lokeyo, bivito jogbai, bivito inoba, matisi mokeyo. Manager Gigi, ouais peut jamais forcer ou si tu connais tu connais. L'animateur Choco Noska Yassen de Toyebi, l'homme a tout fait pour Mivito, Aniche les vieux.
Henry, I can tell you the problem of this country with respect to prices, with respect to health, with respect to education, and largely tied to roads. There are no roads. You don't see opportunities where they should be when you don't have roads. From up to 173 years, we only have one road. How do you know what is happening in Bapolu when you don't have road? You don't go there. The prices of goods, commodities on the market are high because to get them to where they are needed. So there's no way you can, when I talk about road, I'm not talking about putting road on the sidewalk in Monrovia, $50,000 road and make it $3 million. We're talking about roads that will open up the country. We're talking about roads that will open up opportunities, roads that will get businesses going and dependency reduced because people believe their goods and commodities can get to the market. That's what we're talking about.
But we will prosecute and will confiscate assets that people steal and acquire by illicit means. I often say that in Liberia, when people get caught, they send their wife, they send their children, they send their relatives, whatever, to come and beg. I'm saying the Liberian people, don't come and beg. You know, don't come and tell me, oh, stand to help you get elected. He talked nice about you on the radio station. Now he's stealing, so forgive him. Stanley should have known when he was stealing that we're going to punish him. So there's going to be consequences. That's the first thing. Then we have to make sure we're paying people a living wage. So we did the arithmetic, we did the math in 2017 that when you look at policeman's salary or healthcare worker's salary or teacher's salary, by the middle of the month, the money finished. By the time they pay rent, they buy food, they pay the children tuition, and of course, they're not going to starve, right? So the policeman will pull you over, the teacher will accept bribe, they change grades.
Evening, good morning, good afternoon, folks. Samson to LIBERIA Public Radio Game. We're here again this evening, this morning, this afternoon. We have a special program this today. We're going to have with us here very shortly the president of the Liberian Engineering Society. So this, folks, is my area. So if you're coming in today, be prepared. I mean, we're not giving bike. We're not going to sit bike seat to anybody on this one here. So please join us. Share this video as much as you can. Share it and then join us and let's have fun. Safety, Lord Jesus. We want to thank you again this morning. We want to thank you for bringing us back here again. My Lord, only you that have the power. Only through you that everything is possible. And we want to thank you for that power. We want to thank you for your continued blessing. We want to thank you for your continued protection, my Lord. There are those families right now that are grieving. We ask you to protect them. Go into their lives. See if they can find happiness once again. My Lord, we're here again this afternoon, this evening, this morning to have conversation with our brothers and sisters. We ask you as we open our mouth, please guide our tongue, guide our thoughts. Whatever comes out of our mouth as we engage each other, that we do it with civility, that we do it with respect. Only you. And I want to thank you for all of the protection and all of the wisdom that you continue to provide for us. My Lord, we ask you, my Lord, to bless the country of the Republic of Liberia. Give the leadership of the Republic of Liberia wisdom. Bless them as well. My Lord, we ask you to bless the host country, the United States of America. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, folks, let's get it going. I'm here this afternoon or this morning, this evening, whatever time it is on your side, we say welcome. And we have with us here, let me bring this young man, brilliant. He's young though, but his wisdom in terms of engineering, you can't match it. I had this conversation, just brief conversation with him some time ago, but I immediately detected that he's not somebody that I can push over. You know me, I like to push people over, but he's not like that. Let me bring him on. President DADLEY Toh. Mr. Toh, you care to turn your phone on the side so that at least they will be able to see everything. If you turn it counterclockwise or clockwise, it doesn't matter if you want to do that. Here we go. And let's see what will happen. There we go. But then bend it a little bit so that people can see your face. No, up. Here we go. Thank you. I know you can hear me. Thank you for joining us, President Toh. Thank you very much. I've been behind you. The last time I was in Liberia, tried to connect with you, but then you, as a president of the society, were traveling all over West Africa, taking care of the society business, and I got that point. But thank you very much for joining us this morning, sir. We'll give you 1 or 2 minutes to briefly introduce yourself, and then we can get the program going.
Thank you again, Mr. Toh. I want to say thank you for this all-important invite. I take it very seriously, and I just want to appreciate you and the entire team for allowing me this opportunity to come on your show. I'm Dudley Dito, the president of the Engineering Society of Liberia. I'm a civil engineer by way of training, and my specialization now is engineering management. However, I'm not only dealing with civil projects now, but I'm also working in the energy sector. For the living job, I work with UST Liberia as an energy infrastructure specialist. So I'm working in the entire infrastructure area. For the short, I'm Dr. Dito, again, the president of the Engineering Society of Liberia. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. My goodness, as young as you are, what do you get that knowledge to be doing all of those things you're doing? But we appreciate it. No, on a very serious note, I also want to thank you and your colleagues, the young engineers in Liberia, to stay in our country. I've been in our country 3 times now since, and I know it's difficult working in our country. The environment is difficult. The climate is difficult to even exercise your engineering knowledge and what have you. It's very difficult. But yet still, you and your colleagues and the young Liberian engineers continue to stay in Liberia, even though you're so qualified that you can make decent living any part of the world that you go to, but yet still you decide to stay. And for that, I want to thank you very much. And I also want to say here quickly, my own friend Victor Smith, who has also left US, good job, went back home to impact the engineering business in Liberia. We also want to extend our appreciation to Mr. Smith. Mr. President, thank you very much for joining us. So let's go straight into your organization. And I'll just do this, and if I'm wrong, please say so. I'm going to be reading it from your website. The Engineering Society of Liberia, ESO, is a non-profit professional organization dedicated to advance the engineering profession in Liberia. Founded in 2010, the society represents engineers from various disciplines, including civil, mechanical, electrical, and environmental engineer. They also work to promote the advancement of engineering education and research in Liberia and provide opportunity for professional development and networking for its members. The society also collaborates with government agencies, universities, and other professional organizations to improve the country infrastructure and enhance the quality of life for its citizens. I will stop there. So, Mr. President, what exactly this organization is doing for Liberia, its members, and anything engineer? What exactly this organization is doing that you want the audience to look at this morning or this afternoon?
Okay, thank you again. The Engineering Society of Liberia, as you have rightly said on our website, is an umbrella organization that helps to promote, that helps to network engineers within the country. Now, at this point in time, we are doing a lot of things to ensure that professional engineers remain up to date when it comes to standards and practice around the world. Sometimes as we graduate from school, we do not go after professional development. And as a professional person, you need to be able to develop yourself constantly. Recently, about a month ago, we had a lecture series on project planning and control. We have noticed over the period of time, engineers across Liberia are not good when it comes to project management. So we have instituted a lot of lecture series. As I speak to you, we have also signed a contract with FedEx, and we are sourcing the funding to ensure that FedEx come to Liberia and be able to train Liberia professionals to understand the FedEx contract. And after that set of training that we are going to go through, those that will be qualified will now be qualified as a FedEx professional engineer, which means they understand the FedEx contract. So there are lots of things we are doing. It's not only about developing as a professional, it's about networking. We live in a global world that is small. I can be in Liberia and offer consultancy for somebody as far as Zambia. But how can that work when I do not have that professional network? So we have also ensured that Engineering Society of Liberia is not only at the borders of Liberia, we are among We are among all the professional organizations that is necessary for us as a professional body. We are part of the West Africa Federation of Engineering Organization. I was in our gun meeting in Accra, Ghana, where I represented Liberia in a high-level meeting for all presidents around West Africa. We are also part of the Federation of African Engineering Organization. And in September of this year, I'll be in South Africa, in Pretoria, representing Liberia, as we discuss the engineering profession across Africa. Also, we are part of the World Federation of Engineering Organization. And this year in October, I'll be in Czech Republic to also represent Liberia. Now, why am I going all these places? I'm going there because Liberia needs to have the network. There are a lot of opportunities out there when it comes to training, a lot of opportunities out there when it comes to professional development, when it comes to fellowship. But if Liberians are not out there to be able to match up with the professional engineers that are around there, we're going to have problems. If you look at our infrastructure sector, it tells you that there are a lot of things that need to be done. However, with the Indians out of Liberia that's taking the stand and trying to ensure that engineers are up to date. I hear many people say there are not engineers in Liberia. I said, no, you're making me say there are engineers here and they need to be given the chance to be able to tell you that they can do what they say they can do. So in the Indian side of Liberia is doing a lot for the engineers here. Some don't understand. Say, what are you doing for me? We say there are a lot of things we are doing for you. But if you stay outside the fence, you will not understand. So there are a lot of things we are doing when it comes to networking, it comes to professional development, it comes to ethics. Ethics is one of the things that I need to emphasize on this show. Liberians and some other people do not understand what it takes to have ethics. Ethics is one important thing as an engineer. As a medical doctor, you sign an oath. Also, as an engineer, you sign an oath because likewise, as medical doctor can kill people, and a mistake from an engineer can kill thousands of persons. So there are a lot of things the Indian side of Liberia is doing, and we're expanding ourselves and ensuring that the Indian side of Liberia meet up with all professional bodies, regulations, and guidelines across the world. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a beautiful explanation of what you guys are doing internationally, and we appreciate that. We appreciate your effort as the leader of the organization, trying to connect internationally with our brothers and sisters on the other side to know what Liberian Engineer Society is all about. And through the Liberian Engineer Society, the networking that you and your colleagues have established and continue to improve on, hopefully will benefit the engineering professionals in Liberia. But let's come back home. I know in your stuff that I read here earlier, you guys have civil and other discipline. Now let's go straight to Ministry of Education. Do you have members of the organization that are working for the Ministry of Education?
There are few engineers that work in the employ of the Ministry of Education. Some of them are registered engineers, some are not registered engineers. However, you have engineers that I know that will have one or two engineers at the Ministry of Education.
When you say register, Liberian register or overseas register?
There's one thing that needs to happen. Even if you are registered overseas, when you come here, we need to ensure and validate the registration and also ensure that you are registered because we need to hold you when it comes to liability. For example, as an engineer across the world, if you design a project, a bridge project, and that bridge fails because of poor design, you can be held liable. But if the engineer is not registered, on the industry, how can we hold them liable? We want to ensure that all engineers here are registered. In case the engineer make a mistake that was seen glaring because of negligence, their lessons can be rebuked and they can be stopped from practicing. That will ensure that engineers in Liberia will take their work serious and also live up to their oath of ensuring that the engineering practice of Liberia is up to standard.
Is the Minister of Public Works, is he a member of your organization? Is she a member of your organization?
Yes, she is a member of the organization.
Is she aware of the ethic of your organization, the active rule that you guys trying to put in place? She's aware of those?
She's fully aware of it. She's one of the good and supporter of the Indian South of Liberia. At this point in time, I want to laud her and tell her thank you so far for what she have done and what she continues to do for Indian South of Liberia. She's also the present president of the Society of Women Engineers in Liberia,
Right.
and she's one of the major persons in recent time that is helping to ensure that the Indian Society of Liberia have its footprint in Liberia.
What is your membership now? And I'm not too sure whether you know individual involvement, but from your own perspective, what is your organization involvement in terms of the rules and regulations of engineering in Liberia, that those standards are applied? Are you participating at all with the Ministry of Public Works of the government of Liberia to point out some of the importance of making sure that you have a standard and those standards should be applied, whether it be design, construction, vertical or horizontal infrastructure, but they have standard. Are you telling the government and what have you to make sure those standards are applied effectively?
Okay, I want to say thank you. Yeah, I think it's a very important question. When it comes to standards in Liberia, Liberia have a serious gap, and that gap needs to be closed. Number one, what is happening in Liberia is this. There are too many codes, there are too many design people are using. Some people are designing based on the British code, some are using the American code, some are using the Chinese code. Liberia as a country have not developed a code or very design codes that can be used in Liberia that has been brought to our own context when it comes to design.
Mr. President, I hate to interrupt, but I think even all of the other countries that you named are pretty much following the AASHTO, which is the American Design Standard. Any other engineering country in this world or any other engineering firm, whatever country they're in, the highest standard they go with is the AASHTO. So all of that, I'm not too sure what Chinese code look like, because from what I'm seeing, it's not something that I'm going to be talking yet. Mr. President, is your mic is off?
Yes, I put it off when you're speaking. Then when you are through, then I come on.
Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate that ethic, that etiquette of that's very new. And I will make sure my guest next time, and I appreciate that. But anyhow, the point that I'm making here is, I think the standard that I'm making reference. Let me just go into it right away. Are you aware of Rawafi Highway? Have you driven on that road? Have you seen the construction process on that road? Because I also understand that you have a huge construction background as an engineer. Are you seeing some of the construction practices on Rawafi Highway?
Okay, we have seen some construction. I have driven that road about 3 or 4 times since that road construction started. I applied that road maybe more than 10, 15 times. And we understand what is going on there. There might be some things that needs to be looked at. We have also reached out to people that are involved and gave our opinion on things that are necessary, that needs to be looked at. And I will say something to you. We are working in line with ensuring that the Ministry of Public Works and our partners to ensure we have a very quality work. Because there's something about engineering. It's time, it's cost, quality, and environmental and safety. Now, there are a lot of things that needs to be looked at. We are working, and right now we are trying to work with the Ministry of Public Works to develop some partnership that can ensure that we can be another eye for the projects that go on in Liberia. That will have a consultant, and the consultant should be up to the task to be able to ensure that everything that was designed is brought into place. There are some questions that have been asked, there are some concerns that have been raised. However, we feel that these concerns can be dealt with. We feel that this need to work with other engineers and go ahead. But we think that we are making our strides, and we are talking to those in authority to ensure that we partner together. And we will always work with the government to ensure that we make our projects live up to the standard and quality. To have a good QA and QC process.
Let me ask you to name your team of leadership, the core leadership of this association, if you don't mind.
Okay, I can name the core leadership team for you. We have, as the chairman of the board, Engineer Jacob M. Fire. He's the chairman of the Engineering Society of Liberia board. Also on the board, we have Engineer Victor M. Smith, who is the immediate past president of the Engineering Society of Liberia. I want to applaud him for the level of work he have done. When he came to power, he ensured that Liberia get out of its boundary and went out to West Africa and Africa. So I must implore Engineer Victor M. Smith for the level of effort that he did for us as a body. Besides him on the board, you also have Engineer David D. Warnier. He's a very professional engineer. You have Engineer Prince Tamba. You have Engineer Louis B. Sixer Jr. You have Architect Okono on the board. You have Engineer Napoleon Chatter on the board. That should be the people that constitute the board. When it comes to the executive, I'm the president, Engineer Dudley Dito. You have Engineer Josilio Tapla, the most hardworking and the most brilliant vice president ever in the Republic of Liberia. I don't know about any other professional, but I think she's the most brilliant vice president and the most supportive vice president of the Indian South of Liberia. You also have Engineer Roland Barrow Kessley. He is a general secretary. You have Engineer Joseph M. Kamara. He is a chief financial officer. You have Engineer Evis T. Dwe. You have Engineer Dwe.
So as long people
get on my line.
Okay, go ahead. Because if somebody is calling that, then you will have that interfering. But you want me to take you off so you can answer that?
No. It's okay. It's good. I just cancel the call so that they can know I'm on a call. Then you have.
So let me go ahead, finish that, and then
you have Engineer Evis Due, and you have other engineers that head various committees within the Indian Society of Liberia.
I believe Josiah, if she's not a member of the public work family.
Josiah is also the director of zoning at the Ministry of Public Works.
And that lady, I had almost 30 minutes worth of time of conversation when I was in Liberia, when you guys had a convention in Banga, which I attended. And I think as far as I'm concerned, her knowledge of zoning is unbelievable. But I'm not too sure with that kinds of knowledge if she's getting the cooperation from Liberians and even those in high power. But that's a different subject matter. But thank you for that. Let's go back into this, and I'm going to play some video here, and then I will ask you, what do you make of these type of construction practices? And then perhaps you can give me your opinion on that. I know you have no enforcing power to hold anybody to anything, but what I want to find out from you before I show those videos, let me ask you this: what are you guys doing with the code situation to bring everybody together and make sure that Liberia has a code? Because when I was in Liberia the last time, when they had the convention over there in Banga, where the minister of public work asked the engineering society to provide help because she believed that people were importing some substandard rebars, which our people call steel rod, and they were not to the quality of standing or trying to erect a building, which she considered at the time to be safety issue. Have you guys worked with her on that at all?
Sorry, I did not get the question from the beginning because my internet fluctuated. So can you please repeat?
When we were in Banga 2 years ago, when they have the Engineering Society convention in Banga, the minister asked the Engineering Society to help her with the problem of people importing substandard rebars, and which our people call steel rod. And I was wondering, whether have you guys taken her up and tried to facilitate the help that she was asking for?
Okay, we want to say thank you for that question. That is very, very important. If you look at the infrastructure sector of Liberia, from rebars to tiles to most of the building materials that come in this country is substandard. It's a serious issue. Most building materials that come in the country is substandard. If you check the rebars on the market, it says it's 12 mm. If you use your vernacular to measure that rebar, you're not going to get 12 mm. What they call 12 mm is 10 mm. What they call 60 mm is like 12 mm. So it is a serious problem. However,
but let me say this. So if they give you those dimensions and all of those caliber rating of the steel, you're going to design and put weight on something that you believe to be 16, and in reality is 12. So thereby, whatever weight or whatever load that is applied on those, there's a serious problem of having some collapse, because if they're not able to withstand the weight that you thought this steel can withstand, then it's a problem. So what are you guys as a society now who've talked about ethic a few minutes ago? What are you guys doing about that?
Okay, this is one thing that I want to bring up our attention. And that's one thing we have been telling our people in Liberia. Our people in Liberia needs to start to deal with claim the engineer, and they are not engineers. Many people are building their homes, their story buildings, their stores and everything, and they come out, someone, I'm an engineer. And if you check many people, they are not engineers. They don't even understand what they do. Some of them don't even know how to design, because they built a building before, and one engineer designed it was 16 mm, 6 or 8. So they say, whenever I see one story building, I'll put 16 mm, 6 pieces. Okay, the beam I used on our side for that 2-story building, that beam was 10 inches deep, and it has 6 mm in it. So I'll put it, and that's how more people are going. There is a serious problem. Most of the people that portray themselves to be engineers out there are not engineers. And I will say something the other day. Cheap is expensive. We tell people, go for professional engineers that will design for you, go through the design, give you what you need. Nowadays, nobody wants to do SWOT tests to do a building. We need to pray that Liberia don't have any kind of small disaster in this place. It's going to be worse than what happened in other countries, because the people refuse to listen. And imagine what is happening in Liberia. It's going to be a disaster some days.
So President,
there are a lot of things that needs to be carried out. A lot of things needs to be checked. Now, when we come to the rebuy, in other countries, for example, the Ministry of Commerce should be able to work with industry out of Liberia to be able to have somebody from there that is at the Ministry of Commerce that is helping to do what we call quality check on materials brought in the country. Check the tires that come in the country. When you work on the tires 3 or 4, 5 times, the tires begin to wear away. The materials come here are substandard, and there are a lot of things that needs to be done. We are trying our best, and we'll start to engage the Ministry of Commerce to ensure that the materials that come to Liberia live up to the standard, because it's affecting our infrastructure sector in Liberia.
So now, you guys are in contact with the Minister of Commerce. So those who are responsible in commerce, have you had some sort of your team of leadership have gone to them, have a meeting, and pointed out to them some of the defects of some of the results that might happen in case you have a massive failure on these materials that are being brought in, which are substandard? So then the question then is, if you go through that, who is fully responsible that perhaps that person, what is the next level of I call it supervision? If commerce failed, do you go to legislation to talk to them? I mean, what is the mechanism to make sure that because it seems like from what you're saying, just listening to you, I think it's something that is on your mind and it's been bothering most of you who consider yourself a true engineer, and to see that you go to other foreign countries and you have these kinds of conversation, but yet still people reading that the Liberian material, most of them are substandard, and then you go and talk to people who other countries you represent Liberia. What does that make you to feel? Knowing fully well that people are, I mean, this is a digital age. People can go anything and do research. What does that make you feel?
Okay, this is something that is very, very discouraging and it's heartbreaking. Under my leadership, I've not had a meeting directly with the Ministry of Commerce, but on the past leadership, I think they had 1 or 2 workshops or events, and they invited the past leadership there, Honor Engineer Victor Smith. Now, my focus during this leadership is to ensure that our act at the House of Legislature is passed by the House of Senate. We think that's one of the most important things for the industry out of Liberia at this point in time. So when we go to some of these different organizations and reach out to them, look, see what you are doing is not okay. The next thing they say is that, do you have the power? Do you have the legislation? And because they know that we have not been legislated, so some of these things, they take it to be for granted. But I tell you, if we are legislated, we can go after them and tell them, say, look, this what you're doing cannot be accepted. And
So
if an engineer is working,
let's go.
and if an engineer is working, yeah, go ahead.
No, thank you for bringing that up. Let's go to the House of Lawmakers then. You have some people over there, pro tem, who has some sort of an engineering background. And I think that person should have some sort of a sympathetic ears when you guys go to them, because they understand the interest of engineering, the process of engineering. So what are you guys getting some sort of a receptive ears when you talk to the legislature, and they're willing to work with you on that?
We think that they are waiting. It's just that maybe they have their own procedures. We have reached out to the House of Senate. They have the first hearing for us. We appear, and there should be a second hearing. I've been reaching out to the chair for Public Works, and the chair is promising that they will soon put on the agenda.
Who is the chair, by the way?
The chair for Public Works is Honorable Melvin Edwin. So he promised that we're going to put it on the agenda soon, so that we can be able to go for the public hearing. And we are convinced.
I don't mean to interrupt, but does he have on his staff, to your knowledge, does he have any kinds of engineering person on his staff?
That I cannot speak to, because I may say yes, and I may not be saying the truth. I may say no, and suppose you have somebody there. But I think even if you not have somebody there, I think he can be able to source a consultant. I can be able to give him more detailed background of what it is. But
And
that I cannot
when you guys have that opportunity to meet with them, you have to stress that, because if you're chair of Public Works and you have no engineer on your staff, then what type of advice or what type of information you're gonna be able to have to make some sound decision about Public Works, which have to do with infrastructure of the country? If you have no knowledge, you're not an engineer. So I will ask that when you guys go there, please make sure that these things are brought to their attention. Let's switch a little bit. I know many of you Liberian young engineers have your own businesses and try to do contract with the government or private sector and what have you, but they have this system that they call pre-finance. Pre-finance. What do you know? Do you know anything about that you want to tell us what exactly pre-finance is?
Now, in the construction industry, it depends on the type of contract you have signed with your client. Pre-finance is wherein, as an entity, you start a job with your own cash, and as you go ahead from one stage to another, the client pays you based on what you have done. And this is one of the problems Liberian contractors are facing, or Liberian engineers are facing. This is the reason why we are not growing. Now, a typical Liberian engineer can be able to do a road work, but if you get a road work for $64 million and he needs to reach the first 10% before he's paid, you're talking about around $6.4 million. Why can he get $6.4 million or around $5 million to be able to put within the work? So it becomes more difficult to pre-finance because you don't have the financial strength to pre-finance. So it is a problem when it comes to pre-financing for the strength of Liberian engineers. What I've been talking to most engineering firms in Liberia is this: we need to begin to collaborate. We need to begin to do joint ventures and be able to bring our resources together to be able to work on these projects, because that's one of the main things hammering Liberian contractors.
So
we cannot compete with the Chinese. We cannot compete with other entities because we don't have the financial strength. And if you look at the banking setup of Liberia, the banking setup of Liberia is a challenge. If you take a loan today, they expect to start to pay next month. And that's not how construction works. I'll take a loan today, I might need to work for 3-4 months to be able to generate cash. Because if I don't have a good cash flow, it disturbs my whole entire project. So the financing issue is a problem. However, sometimes it goes to be real to ourselves. Some engineers too, before getting pre-financed, they may use this cash. Some of them got this cash and also went on holidays and did not do the paperwork. So sometimes it becomes a problem. We need to be balanced also. Some other entities can also give out the initial cash to the contractor, and that can help. But some contractors begin to misuse the opportunity and begin to take the cash. Instead of spending the cash on the projects, they begin to use this cash on their personal sales and buy flashy things. These are the reasons we are saying, let's relate the injustice out of Liberia. Yeah, somebody do this, we can come after them and we can make sure that they be dealt with fully according to the law.
So if you contract with the government of Liberia, do you get do you know what are your members that have done business with the government of Liberia? Do they get paid on time?
I do not, that I don't want to speak to. I think it is possible that they get paid on time. Sometimes maybe government will be lack of funding for the project, but I think government can try, but there are hitches sometimes that come about due to funding. However, I think it's better not to speak on that further.
Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and play this video here. I hope that you'll be able to see it. This is a video. One time I was in Liberia this year, that is, and there was a one Saturday we got stuck from EW, actually from SD Cooper Road to rehab. I started at 4:30 in the afternoon, and I didn't get to rehab until like almost 1 something in the morning. It was so bad. But let me play this text. There's a taxi driver that I'm sure you probably heard of that story. But let me play the taxi driver here and you listen to him. Peter Joma. Yes. Thank you very much. Again, I'm Samson to Liberian Public Radio.
If they really had a mind to finish this road, they could do this road within a year's time, perhaps. But where we are, nobody can.
So what do you make digging one side and digging the other side? But does it make sense to you?
We've been seeing other roads. Normally they will deal with one side and then people turn to that side and then they go on the other side.
Right.
But by digging both sides, leaving under the narrow space in the middle, there is when it starts raining, you see pool of water all on both sides.
Right.
So I don't understand what they are doing.
And folks, this is a taxi driver here, but just from his perspective, I want you to understand it. So thousands of people here right now. How do you rate the patient level of us Liberians facing this kinds of mayhem?
Well, I'm a patient level. We are just compared to be patient. Whether you like it or not, you are compared to. Whether you're sick, even in this traffic, you are forced to wait.
Wow.
I mean, no, there's no other option but to wait.
Wow.
No option. No one to cry to, because those who supposed to cry to are the ones that are seeing it and they are ignoring it. Those who have the means, those that have the power to speed it up are seeing it day and night. So who can you turn to? No one.
Well, okay, Mr. President. So that was that night, and the taxi driver. In fact, one of the sad story, he had about 6 passengers when he started, but by the time I got to him, all of the passengers had left because they wanted to take motorbike and go other places. So, but the reason why I play this is, and I see here you're saying that once the legislature give you the power by passing the bill or whatever it is, that will give you reason and give you the power to go after some of these people that would do things illegally. Say this, I'm just saying that my word. But let me ask you this. Those of you that are engineers in Liberia, when you see these kinds of substandard construction on a major highway like Rawafi Highway, where you have people digging both sides of the road, and they have nothing, no K-rail, no safety measure that will save people. And I will play a video here of the accident that happened some 2 months ago where 7 people died. And I'm sure you're quite aware of that. What do you, when you guys go to your meeting, engineering society meeting, when you have your conversation, what are some of the things you talk about? How is these things playing to you guys?
Okay, this is what I call a misfortune for Liberia. What I call a misfortune, I do believe there are a lot of engineers in this country that are very well trained. However, man as a whole, when there is no law, he becomes worse than an animal. What makes a country or the great United States what it is because of the justice system. Men without laws, men without punishment of doing the wrong thing will always do the wrong thing. If you go to the United States, you will not see a man stand in the street and urinate. You will not see a man typically take a dirt in his hand and drop it on the street. That man knows if he's caught, he will be penalized for doing the wrong thing. However, do we penalize people here in Liberia that do the wrong things? No. So where do you start from? If a country have to work, the justice system's got to be okay. Now, how can we go after somebody who is not doing the right thing as an individual out of Liberia? What power do we have? What grounds do you have? Why can you sit there? I agree there were some challenges along the Ralphie Highway. However, the Ministry of Public Works, along with the consultant, have really worked overtime, and they have tried their best to alleviate some of these challenges that have been along the way. When it comes to safety challenge, there are a lot of safety challenges along that way. There are a lot of environmental concerns along that way. However, I think they have worked overtime to be able to solve some of these problems. But in this case, in this other bureau, we are a toothless bulldog.
Toothless
You can
bulldog.
do nothing.
Yeah.
A toothless bulldog.
That's sad.
But the Ministry of Public Works have really worked overtime, and they have solved some of these smaller concerns for safety and environmental. But we are a toothless bulldog.
Have you guys tried to meet with the President of the Republic of Liberia to actually perhaps educate him about the importance of having these young people as an engineer in our country? Is there any way that or anything you can do to meet with the president?
If we have an opportunity to meet with the president, it will be a glad one, because we think we'll be able to lay down our case and what is the need that we, as in the South Liberia, be legislated. We also think we have other people who are engineers out there who are in hierarchy. One thing we have been doing in recent time behind the scene is making sure that all the different engineering related government entities and agencies who have been meeting out with their heads to ensure that they are accountable. As you rightly said, the Senate Pro Tem is an engineer. He's very busy, and we have not had a chance to meet with him. We have sent series of letters, but we have not really had a chance to have a meeting with him.
Still, you see, when you make that, when you say that, that's boil my blood. Let me just be honest with you, because we just have 7 Liberians died on a construction site based what I believe to be poor construction practices. And the President Pro Tem, who also happen to be an engineer, will not even make a time to say, let me have a few or too many of your time. He's not busy 24 hours a day. I mean, I'm sure if he wants to, he will. He has time to criticize people, criticize the ambassador of the U.S. ambassador in Liberia. He has time to do that. He has time to go to Southeastern campaign. But yet still, the people that are responsible to build the infrastructure of the country, they're trying to ignore them. And it doesn't matter how much noise you make. They don't even want to pay attention to you. And I feel bad for you guys, because many of you as young, there's another young engineer. If I have my way, I'll get him out of there. If I have my way, I'll get all of you guys out of there. Go somewhere else. And let these people stay there with their greed behavior, don't want to do things correct. Let them stay there. But anyway, that's not time to vent this morning. So let me calm down a little bit. But President, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this other question. And that is the fact that you're an engineer in Liberia, and with all of these things that you're quite aware of, and yet still things are going, what is the way forward? How do you intend before your turn is over? Where do you see this association going, and where would it be by the time you leave office?
Okay, before I go forward, I want to say something very important. When we go to other countries, I've traveled around the world a bit. They say the country is developed, it's engineering. The car you ride is engineering. The phone you have in your hand is engineering. The house you sleep in is engineering. The lights over you is engineering. The road you are is engineering. The building for the hospital is engineering. The school building is engineering. Tell me what is not engineering. The carpet board that you're writing in is on engineering work. You have to make the machines, the mechanical engineers. The wash on your hand is engineering. For you to take the water from the well to pump it up to the reservoir to come in the house is engineering. What we're talking about is not engineering. To cook the food on the stove is engineering. Everything about us is engineering. God is an engineer. So if our country is going to grow infrastructure-wise, we must begin to take something very serious into consideration. Research. Liberia as a country has not invested into research for a period of time. Do you think that the Chinese, the Americans, the British take people from here to go to that country for scholarship? Do you think it's a mistake? No, it's not a mistake. They tell you why the research on. They don't want to solve a problem. A country that is not investing in the research is going to have a serious problem. Now, when it comes to engineering, I want to say we call STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Any country that does not take that sector serious is not going to be developed. Look at our country. Look at our roads we ride. Look at every set of our infrastructure. It is a problem. But you cannot solve the problem from the top. You can solve the problem from the root, from where it all started from. We got to go back to our schools, from the elementary schools, and begins to institute well-grounded educational systems that help to make people understand that math is not hard, math is easy, and encourage people that go into these areas and be able to learn and be able to come back to work in our society and be able to make it to grow. Where do I sit in the South of Liberia before I leave office? I am convinced that in the South of Liberia bill will be passed at the House of Senate because I have the overwhelming support from the Senate and I have the overwhelming support from every engineer in this country. We are also engaged into what customization. We felt that, okay, people don't understand why we are involved into. A week or two from now, we'll be on the street of Monrovia. We'll be giving flyers. We'll be doing some work on the street of Monrovia. We'll also be engaged into some cleanup campaigns in the street of Monrovia with our vests and giving our flyers out. We also want to engage into taking billboards around the city of Monrovia and its environments, making sure that people understand what we do and want to advise people deal with professional engineers. If not a year ago or so, there was a building somewhere in Carwell that belongs to Abraham Koma, of a man of God. That building fell down. That was a disaster. Mm-hmm. That was an engineering mistake. Complete lack of design, poor design. We don't want to see these things happen around and people lost in their lives. We're going to work with the government. We're going to work with the private sector. We're going to work with agencies, government agencies, international organizations to promote engineering. Invest in the engineering, invest in the research, invest in the laboratories, invest into ensuring that engineers here meet the task as it takes around the world. I can tell you this, I've traveled small, but we can match any engineer from around the world. We can design our road. We have engineers that can design road in this country. We can design anything. What makes it impossible to have an interchange? We have interchange here. Liberians can design them. We can build them. Believe in us, give us a chance, give us an opportunity. We have people here who have up to the task. We have people here who are waiting to be able to design, to be able to build anything in this country. We may have cash issue or cash flow problem, but we are very much certain they are very good engineers here. And I will not say that they are not bad ones. They are also bad engineers here. I must be real with. Like we have good engineers, we also have bad engineers. And the only way to root out the bad engineers is to ensure that we have a legislation that can stop them from working. Because I say something to you. If you build a bad road that is not good, your granddaughter is going to ride on that road. And probably she might have an accident on that road. And you know, loss of life because you did not do the right thing. If you're an engineer is on a road and you know that the temperature for the asphalt our brother is not good, and you stand there and put out asphalt on the road, and you know very well it did not meet the temperature, remember your child is going to ride on that road, your cousin is going to ride on that road, and you're going to have a problem. If you sit on a bridge construction and know that according to the design, we will use a certain type of steel rod or the cement used there to be the 2.5, and you agree to use the 2.5 because of corrosion, remember you're not doing it to, but you're doing it to yourself as a nation. I feel sometimes embarrassed as I travel around the world and see infrastructure. But I'm also convinced that we as a nation, this is a time we must wake up. This is a time we must rise up and begin to make sure that our country is developed. And we can do it. Collectively, we can do it as our engineers. This reason why I'm reaching out to all engineers from every sector, from the electrical, the mining, the mechanical, the biomedical, the environmental engineer, the safety engineer. We must all wake up, live up to the value, live up to the ethics, and ensure that the Indian South of Liberia is up to the task. We can do it. We all can go for it. And I always tell them there's power in unity. There's power in working to ensure that we have our legislation enacted. It is one of our most important things. I want to say a very big thank you to Honorable Melvin Snow and the Committee on Public Works for having us the first hearing, and we are convinced that they are going to call again, and we're going to tell Liberian people why there's a need to have engineers legislated. The medical data is legislated. There are 3 professions around the world: engineers, medical doctors, and lawyers. Why they are 3 most important? Because they are life-threatening fee. As engineers, if we make a mistake and design the Rafi Highway poorly, you can have thousands of people dying at once. If a biomedical engineer makes mistakes, you can have somebody dying at an operation. If a mining engineer do not carry on the proper safety mining practices, you can have landslide at a mine. And you can have hundreds of people being killed in a mine. So we are saying it's time that we wake up. It is time that the international community, the government of the Republic of Liberia, the private sector, the business owner, the banks, and all engineers in Liberia work together and ensure that our infrastructure sector of this country is up to the task. Thank you.
Again, folks, Samson Toe, I told you guys that this young man, he's not a pushover. You know me, I got a very big mouth. I'm very quiet this morning and let him, to be honest with you, listening to him as young as he is, it just makes you feel like the good days of Liberia is way ahead of us. It's just way ahead of us. So whatever people are doing right now to ignore there's the engineering business, he just told you, there's nothing you can do in your life that you will say that it has nothing to do with engineering. Everything you do in your life, if you want your life to be improved, any kinds of improvement you have in your life, engineering related stuff will be part of that. But it's very sad for our people not to understand that. Let me ask you one last question, and then I can take leave of you because I know you're very busy, man. The driving condition in Monrovia with the keke and the motorbike on the road and the traffic situation, can those things be resolved? Do we have the engineering capacity to have those things resolved in Liberia?
Yes, no, these are simple design issues. Like one of our colleagues in recent time, engineer Eric Gabriel Jean George, launched an organization called Road Safety Action International. And if you look at this platform and what it's pushing, a lot of safety issues that must be taken into consideration. If you go to other countries, what is happening here is just simple, very simple. You can solve these things from the onset in the designs. If you don't not, look, you have other countries, you have 4 or 5 lanes. If you go to, I will give you, if you have been in Ghana, if you go to Kasua, back then in Ghana in 2003, when I was in Ghana, Kasua was a very difficult traffic terrain. What did they do? They put a flyover. By the time you hit Kasua, if you don't want to do anything down with the market, you get on the overhead bridge and pass by the entire market. You can have interchange at major intersection at the area junction. You have interchange. You can have interchange at what we call the SKD Boulevard Junction. You can have interchange. But all these things must be put in from a design perspective. We have design engineers in this country. I'm sure you will have design engineers in the country. Look, we have a lot of brilliant engineers. I can name them off here: from electrical, mining, civil, brilliant engineers. I'm an engineering project manager. I got my PMP since 2017 to present. I wrote my test in the States in Philadelphia. and my background is from Savor. I'm also processing in the energy sector. However, there are a lot of engineers. You get engineer David Warner, he can design for you. You get engineer Victor Smith. You get engineer Amos Barclay. You have a lot of engineers, engineer Royal Biocasali. You have a lot of engineers in the mining sector. You have lots of other engineers in the electrical sector. You get engineer Daily Shibayo. You get engineer Adolfo Snape. You get a lot of engineers, Mohammed. So these are brilliant guys that you can match with any engineers around the world. However, one mistake that Liberia is also making, and I brought up in another meeting, is this: we take all the designers from out, and there's no sustainability plan. How do you sustain all this infrastructure? If you build those roads, you need maintenance for these roads. Now, how can you maintain these roads? You need to put that in the project onset. If I'm designing a road, even if you have a foreign company, every position must be matched by a Liberian engineer so that their capacity can be built. And when that capacity is built, they can be able to live. Like the hydro, if you are building a hydro, everything, if you say we don't have a Liberian engineer for that particular aspect of it, you have a foreign engineer be matched with a Liberian engineer, and it starts to work alone. So by the time the foreign engineer going after the developability period, you can have the Liberian engineer who understand and he can be able to repair. Or else what happens is if you have something spoiled, you got to go back Europe to go hire an engineer. It's very costly. But if you train an engineer that you don't understand, he can be able to maintain the system. We're going to have good roads, and that's not about roads. You can build a road, but if there's not good maintenance plan into place, the road is going to have a problem. So are you training people for that? You need a sustainability plan. From the electrical sector, the energy sector, now the world now is moving into renewable energy. Are we looking into that area? I said something before. Liberia now needs to be able to train engineers to be able to be renewable engineers. People are not moving into solar. They're not moving into wind. What are we doing as a nation? There is a wake-up call for Liberia. I do think that there are a lot of brilliant engineers here. Up here, I can name a lot of them. But many engineers are becoming frustrated. I spoke to someone who came like a week ago, and they are getting frustrated. I told them, it happened to me also. I was frustrated when I came back to Liberia. And so now I get really frustrated. And it's not that someone cannot lead this country. We have other lead this country who have been in the States or in the UK or in Canada or in Australia. But we think it is a need. It's a wake-up call to come back to our nation and help to build our nation. We're making the big money out there, but we think it's now time to help our nation. And we are gathering every engineer from around the country, from out there. I just spoke in recent time, in the past 2 weeks, I spoke to the past president of the Liberian Engineering Association in the US. And I talked to him, I said, look, we need to reinsure that this partnership is come back to one, and we need to all work together to ensure that Liberia engineering, all infrastructure is up to the tax. And we are going back to you as an engineer. We also need to ensure that this nation, our beloved country, the infrastructure is changed. Come and see our designs on our road. They are poor.
Very poor.
If you are blind, you can know that they are poor. The finishing in Liberia, poor. Why? People don't want to hire the real professionals.
Everybody wants to take shortcut.
Cheap is expensive. Cheap is expensive. Get the real engineers. And nowadays, you can reach out in the south of Liberia. You have our hotline, you can call, and when you call, we'll tell you that engineer is registered up to the tax. Now, you may have graduated 5 years ago, but there might be new technology coming out there. Every time we complain, when water go on the asphalt, they can spoil the asphalt. As we as a nation get research funding.
What are they going to do? They're going to stop the rain?
Are we as a nation get research funding to lecturers to be able to research and see, can we do something on our asphalt? Even if the water mistakenly set on the asphalt, that it will not to do our drainage system okay in town. Look at the construction that's happening on the Route P Highway. When it comes to the building, everybody's building their own place. There's nothing for stormwater drainages.
Nothing.
Go in our communities, go to Broadfield, everybody building, no stormwater drainages there. There's no area for what we call utility lines. We are making mistakes, a lot of mistakes. Our infrastructure is growing without growing. I don't have to call it, but they are completely upside down.
Okay.
And we think that Liberians can be hear us, and we're going to do more engagement. Starting from next month, there's something called ESO Hour. We are trying to negotiate with ELBC and other regions like Hot FM. We're going to engage the radio stations at least 2 times every month and make sure that we are heard. And a lot of engineers, not only me, a lot of other engineers will be coming on the air and be telling the need that we respect engineering in this nation.
Okay, President Toh, thank you very much. We have close to the hour mark now. That for me, I really like to go 2-3 hours with you because the kinds of information that you're providing here, I thought you were going to take the round of everything's okay in this country, everything's fine, but you're telling us the truth, the challenges. Not that nothing good is happening there, but there are some enormous challenges in our country. And as young as you are, to be able to recognize those things, that's the plus. In engineering, once you recognize something is wrong, it's easy to find a solution. But if you look at something, oh, nothing wrong here, everything's fine, how are you going to find a solution? So I want to thank you. To be honest with you, I want to thank you. I know I don't want to turn this kinds of conversation into politics because politics at this point has nothing. It's not, those are policy makers, but to inject politics into this kinds of stuff here, it's not a thing to do. However, the liberal progressive will just push you a little bit. Is your membership as a group organization? Are you supporting a specific candidate in this upcoming electoral process, the election? Are you supporting, or
we are in the act of supporting any candidate?
Okay.
This is a professional organization. Every engineer have their own right to follow who they decide to go for. We are not going to say, for this person, for that person. I will never do that. I always say, people, I'm not a politician. I'm a technocrat. However, we are not going to tell anyone to vote for anybody. Go out there, hear all the various candidates, listen to them, listen to their platform, hear what they have to do, what they can tell you, what they can do, and you can make a decision going forward. But in Liberia, have no stand for any political party. Absolutely not.
Thank you. So let me ask you this one question. You have members who are working for these different organizations and what have you. So, in case they are being taken advantage of or they get into trouble, is your organization have the legal mechanism to support and help with whatever that they feel is not necessary? For example, if they're doing something, somebody is doing something to them wrong, are there any legal people on your team that perhaps the organization can turn to as a legal practitioner to help members in case a need arise? Because as an engineer, you practice, and sometimes people would think, say, you have done something wrong and they want to take you to court. You guys have, and then the engineer has all of his backup calculation that he has done, and they're quite correct. They follow the standard and what have you. But people who don't know might want to say they want to take him to court. Is there any way that your organization can support that person, or every member is an individual when it comes to those kinds of stuff?
One thing Indian side of Liberia should do, and that should be done, is that they should also serve what we call arbitrator. We always advise before you go to court, there must be arbitration. Come on the table, let's see what are the facts and everything. Because sometimes it becomes what I say, it's not worthwhile going to the court when it's something that got been settled with arbitration and see what is the problem, what is the root cause, and what has happened along the way to find out. However, it's also both ways. Sometimes people can come to say the engineer is wrong, and also engineers sometimes can come and complain clients, a complaint company owner, oh, this company don't want to pay me, they have not given my benefits, and yet they're younger. Now, in this case, at Industry Lab, we need to reach out, we need to stand and with a neutral ground. If there's an entity that comes with a complaint on an engineer, we need to go into the matter, and that matter first go into the ethics committee. The ethics committee is supposed to review that matter, come up with finding. If that cannot be resolved there, then they go to the arbitration board. If it cannot be resolved, we go to the court, which is the last option. However, there are some engineers in the Industry Liberia who are also lawyers. And in case that it was all be prudent that the particular engineer will be given the support of the Industry Liberia. Once they have proven that they have done everything right and ethically they are correct, we will back them up. And if possible, rally around them and look for engineers or look for lawyers that will be able to help them to be able to make sure that their case or their own side of the story is heard. And we think we're making a lot of effort there on that side also.
Thank you, Engineer Toh. We appreciate you. Is there any parting comments here? Perhaps you wanted to talk on something that we didn't address in our 1 hour plus conversation that you think you want to put out very quickly?
My parting comment here is that I just want to say thank you to the Honorable Edwin Mavis and the entire Committee on Public Works for giving an opportunity at the House. And we also applaud them. I convinced that they will call us soon for our second hearing, which we think will be able to convince them the reason why they would need to be legislated. I also want to say thank you to the President Minister of the Ministry of Public Works. We think she's doing her best and she will continue to do her best. We are assured by our leadership that she has the full support of the Ministry of Public Works. We also want to say thank you because we have been reaching. I want to say thank you to Honorable Gesta Murray of the Ministry of Mines and Energy, who we have some talk with recently that also wants to hear us out and work along with others, see how we can make it work. We also have other brilliant engineers and other professionals out there. We want to say to all engineers that this is the time. This is the time. Wake up, join hands together. We can make it work. If we don't make it work at this time, our children will be overlooked. This is a time as engineers who wake up, live up to the ethic, and as we are calling on the government and all other people to respect engineers in this country, we're also calling on all engineers to live up to the ethics. No shortcut, no corruption. Live up to the standard. Go out there, represent yourself, represent your nation. And I'm somebody that have a big mouth. When I go to the conferences around the world, I tell them, say, we can do it. Liberians have engineers. I can remember in Ghana, when I approached the podium as the president of engineers of Liberia, I was a younger president there. And all the presidents were around the world. I attended the Ghana Institute of Engineering Conference. I was a younger president. So when I said I'm the president, it was looking strange. This young man, but after I left the podium, there was a rousing applause because I told them that Liberians have engineers and we can do it. So all engineers out there, as we go out to be an advocate for you, we want to say unto you, go in school, learn well. Those in school, engineers in training, no shortcut, point the candles, remain under the light, learn, continue to improve yourself, be up to the ethic, and let's hold together. The sector of our country, we say Ghana is developing. We say Kenya, Nairobi is fine, is engineering. Tall buildings are engineering, the cars are right, engineering, everything is engineering. We can do it. And as Liberians, it's not time for us to give all the jobs out there. Let us not go out there with the mindset of money, money, money. That's some of the problem with business country. Everybody wants to pocket from themselves. No, it's not a pocket from themselves. It's about ensuring that our nation, that when our government spend money, our nation infrastructure is up to the date. It is not time that all engineers rise up, live up to the standard, and be who you are called to be. I want to say thank you again for affording this opportunity. We'll be glad that we can have another time on this show where we can have more wider coverage and we'll have more time to be able to do more coverage out there. We want to say thank you. We are hoping to have a show in the next 2 weeks on one station on DSTV, and we'll also partner to be able to get out there. We want to tell you thank you for giving us this wonderful opportunity. And thank you to all the leaders at the Indus of Liberia and all those that are helping to make the leadership successful. I want to say a very big thank you again onto Marcus Shasha, who have worked tirelessly since this particular leadership come into place. A big thank you to Engineer Destiny Foley, a big thank you to Engineer Cecilia Davis. These are people in the background are ensuring that the work is going forward. And there are other people who name I may not call immediately. But I want to say thank you to the YPEL, that's the Young Professional Engineers of Liberia. They are making a lot of strides. Thank you also to the people from the electrical area. They are also making a lot of strides. We want to say thank you to every other engineer out there. Thank you to our Minister, Honorable Ruth Cooker Collins, for the level of support we have received from her and all other engineers. We want to say thank you again. Thank you, and thank you for giving us a wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. We hope to have you and the Liberian Engineering Society here, or whatever they call themselves here in the United States. We hope to have both you and the president here sometime. I will try to work on that. We'll also try to have a conversation with your vice president and other leaders, a member of the leadership of your organization as well. I want to thank you this morning for coming out and not biting your tongue, expressing, but doing it respectfully with responsibilities. And we appreciate you. Thank you very much, and we'll take leave of you now. Thank you, sir. You
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Nice talking to you again. Thank you to the audience out there. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, folks, Samson told Liberian Public Radio. It's a very interesting. It was a very, very interesting engagement this morning. Before I went to Liberia, I used to be on my show. I say these people don't know anything. They call themselves engineers, they blah 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 blah. And then I went to Liberia and I engaged this young man, and I engaged his vice president, also who happened to be a zoning person in Liberia. Very, very smart people, highly qualified as an engineer, and but for some reason. I'm not too sure, but you heard in here the society is trying to be recognized by legislature by putting some sort of a law in place. Now, all of the thing I used to say about Edwin Snow, I would change my mind now that he on board to try to recognize that. I think I'll be praising him now too. I'm not going to say anything bad about Edwin Snow. I'll be, in fact, including his open, I'll be praising them since they're doing something, because that's all we want. Give these young people the opportunity, recognize them, and you will see the brilliance that is hidden underneath all of these young people. You will see how much they will move that country forward. You drive in from EW Junction and you want to go downtown Monrovia. It's going to take you 3 to 4 hours almost. Traffic for what? But as he said, design. And I think we're appreciative of you. You heard him this morning. It just made me feel proud. That the engineering days of Liberia is way ahead. And I'm very, very proud of the young man coming up, making his case this afternoon. Now, who among us here that would say, well, it's an engineering talk, I don't understand. I think he expressed himself effectively using the language that common people will understand. And you have these substandard material coming into the country and they're being accepted. Like I said, God lives in Liberia. God lives in Monrovia. Because if it wasn't for that, we would have had some serious problem by now. I want to thank you this Saturday morning, this Saturday afternoon. Thank you very much. Thank you, and we appreciate it. Hopefully, our next show we will try to bring in other member of the association. Maybe bring. The vice president, or even bring some past Victor Smith, bring him on. We appreciate it. And I thank you for you guys continue to follow us on LPR. This is what we do, and this is what we will do. And as you saw here this afternoon, I have a lot of video I wanted to play, but I think this is not about the time. The young man didn't come in to defend the bad practices of the engineering process in Liberia. He said they're handful, they're challenges. So how can I come now and start playing all of these videos and say, but what's about this one, but what's about that one? He already told us there are challenges and they are working on it. So there's no need for me to come out here and try to show off and play video. What's about this one? What's about that one? No. And I hope that he will be successful. And the fact that he gets to travel as president of the society and get to see other places, he comes back. He comes back with the renewal energy to get this country going. These young people, young engineers, they themselves are suffering emotionally because they see these things. They know they have the ability to do it, but they are not being given the opportunity. They are not being given the opportunity. Those that have the opportunity, they're just playing it. Why should I fight? Well, I got a job. I'm not gonna push anything yet. This is what they want. That's what they're gonna get. Well, but when you do that, you're hurting the future. Another comment he made, I thought was very funny. There are people who are saying that the water on asphalt is creating problem. Of course, if you have a proper drainage system, you shouldn't have issues. Water will always be on asphalt if it's raining. But they have a slope, and they have 2.5 in Liberia. 2.5 size slope in Liberia. And but when you take it out of the road, where does it go? All of the drainage systems are blocked. So they have something what they call sprayer in hydraulics. When you take it out of the road, it get to the shoulder, and then it start coming back because it's the water. It go up, and then it start coming back to the road because it has nowhere to go. It has nowhere to go. So you have a bad spray, and the spray is what the car going to be running over, and you have issues. So I think well, anyway, we will get there. My people, we will get there. Liberia will get there. The young people, I'm so proud of the young Liberians, not just engineering business, but young educated Liberians that see these things happening in foreign land, and they want to make sure these things happen in their own country. But they're going to need a supporting hands of those that are in power. You have to reach out to these young people. If you reach out to them, you feel they're not serious, they're just drinking, you leave them. But you haven't even touched them. I don't want to touch it. Anyway, let me say good night to all of you, good evening to all of you, good day. Have a wonderful day. Let's pray for one another, and God will continue to guide us. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, and good night.
DADLEY, le cabas bayo la moi sur Adilo. Ya Américain Paulo. C'est au Tizuema, encore une autre fidèle qui. Ya Américain Paulo Keyo. Kayo Sylvie. Il can quoi qui. J'ai loupé presse. Ya Américain Paulo que t'as bien de moi avec moi nous. En somme on va bâtir au moins néo. Mon temps dit est à mon mouillé, on s'est abattu pour moi déployer. Tu vois, là le caillou. Quand on soit du loin, allez, envoyez, bâtir au loin, et là-haut, abela le caillou, mi vito jogbaï, mi vito inomba, matissimo caillou. Malanga Gigi, ouais, jamais forcé. Si tu connais, tu connais.